Gadgets for Family, the tech podcast for the person that spent way too much money last week and the person that took our advice. And Greg has his hand raised, and the person that took our advice and used things like trade ins and other resources to get the best price possible. And anyone else looking to get more out of their lives through tech. I'm your host, Jay Benjamin.
And I'm your host, Greg Cunningham. And I don't think I spent too much money, but I wish I hadn't had to spend quite that much. But I
Yep.
did, right? And I think this also applies to all of those that are still sitting there waiting for the hand me down, right?
Yep.
Like, yeah,
Which is the best part of the year.
please get up at 6 a.m. and order that phone so I can have a new one.
All right, folks. So now we're going to jump into our main topic today, and again, we're going to be talking about everything that we've learned um, since the keynote, since all of the information is dropped from some of our peers that do reviews and tech commentators and stuff, and just everything that we learned since then. So let's start with some of the stuff for the OSs, right? So iOS, iPad OS, WatchOS, they were all released yesterday, which was the 18th. Um, Mac OS Sonoma will be released later this month on the 25th, right? Is that the
26th, I
that's the
think. I
date?
think I have this wrong in the notes. So
The
I think it's
26th.
next Tuesday that they were releasing it. Anyway, sometime next week.
Okay. So, and just remember on the iPad, you can always just go to settings in general, and you'll see that that update. If there's an update, you'll see actually two sections, right? You'll see if you hadn't updated to the latest version of 16.3 or
Yeah, I think we're out to
16.5.
16.6.1 now. So you may
Okay.
see that
Yeah.
at the top of your screen, and then you're going to see the iOS 17 logo and just a single line at the bottom if you want to get in the
Yes.
iOS 17 track. So,
Right. Right. So you can update to the latest and greatest, and then after that, then it'll be those incremental updates for iOS 17. So, and that's the same on both iPad and iPhone.
yeah, and
Also,
I will
oh,
say
go
that
ahead.
I checked it on my mom's because I didn't pay attention. We were on the betas, right? And so we kind of got the
Mhm.
incremental updates. But
Yes.
on the iPhone 12, it was a 3 gigabyte update.
Okay. Wow.
So it's
I
pretty
didn't expect it to
big.
be that big.
So it's going to take just a little bit of time, especially if you're not on a high speed internet connection. So just plan on it,
Yes.
right? Just
Yeah.
start it before you go to bed and let it run its course. And when you wake up in the morning, you'll be good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. But make sure you have that space too. If you're one of those ones that run to the limit of your storage, you're going to have to delete all of that. So, or not delete all of that. Make sure you back your photos or whatever else needs to be transferred off of the device just to free up that space. So,
And Apple does have a thing. If you're out of space, it should walk you through this, but they do allow you to get some extra space to start with on iCloud
mhm.
to allow some of this stuff to happen. I have not done it, but I know that that's out there. So,
Yeah, yeah. And Greg loves a lot of extra space. So we're going to talk about that later in the show to see which one of these new iCloud tiers he's going to be switching to. So, so Greg, for macOS Sonoma, only my wife's laptop is going to update to it. I figure we'll update it sometime after the trip or whatever. But what about you? Are you're going to upgrade day one or?
I think so. I mean, I got looking through my stuff. I don't have a whole lot of non Apple apps except for the Microsoft suite, right?
Hmm.
Office 365, everything associated with that. And I've got to think that if those broke on
Yeah.
Sonoma, we would have heard. So, yeah, I'm probably going to upgrade on day one. I want to get everything in sync. It's been driving me nuts for the last couple of weeks to have some devices not. And I really think some of my home communication stuff with all my home pods and stuff like that, I really think a lot of that
Yes.
was due to some are on the latest and some are not. And so I want to get everything on there. And so, yeah, I'll probably upgrade on day one. Um, or somewhere close to it. I know day one's the day we record the podcast, so it might be
Hmm.
day two that
Yeah.
I go in and do it, or I'll run it overnight or something like that. But yeah, I'll update very, very quickly. No reason not to.
Okay.
And I want the widgets
Yeah.
on my
Yeah.
home screen. We'll see how that on my
Yeah.
desktop. We'll see how that goes.
Widgets everywhere. So one thing I wanted to remind you folks too, if you are on the beta um, for iOS, iPad OS, make sure you turn off those beta updates. You have to actually go in and switch that off. Otherwise, you're going to jump directly into the beta for 17.1. And if you were just upgrading just because you were in a rush to get these features, or you're not interested in being a permanent beta tester, remember to actually go in and turn off that beta testing. That way you'll be on the regular scheduled updates, and not, like I said, start receiving 17.2 and 3 and all of that and so
Right.
on. So
Unless you want to get them,
just a little tip.
right? I mean, in theory, they
Yeah.
should be more stable, but I did find it interesting yesterday that second line that says beta updates, where you can turn it on or off, went away
Hmm.
on all devices. It was gone.
So I
And
noticed it was gone on mine
yeah,
when I
it's
when I was watching it, but I wasn't sure if that was the case.
no, because I thought maybe it was on my iPad because I had gone in and turned it off on my iPad,
Hmm.
but I left it on my phone, but it was gone on everything, and it's back now. So I now see the beta updates line, and on my iPad it was turned off, and I've turned it back on because I'm hoping 17.1 has the journaling app. That's the next thing that I'm looking forward to,
Yes.
and I really want to get into that. So it's back. There is no public beta out yet, a new updated version. So, but yeah, turn that off. Now you should be able to go in and turn it off. If you weren't seeing it before, you should be able to see it now. Just turn those off if you don't want to stay on the beta cycle. And, it might actually be a good idea to skip like 17.1's initial one or
Hmm.
two betas and then, you know, go on to the
Yeah.
others. So,
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about some of the other stuff that we learned um, since then. Since the keynote and things that we've gathered from the week. So the grid forecast in the home app. So I did see this and I didn't like it. I did. I just It's just not useful information for me here in Texas. But uh, it's something you might be interested in, right?
yeah, I mean, it's good. I just pulled it back up again. And so it's actually varied. I've noticed that it's not always been the same time. Like the first time I pulled it up, it told me that there was more clean energy at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And today it's actually showing for about 6:30 before I get cleaner energy,
Hmm.
right? And I think what this is they're just trying to see, when is there less demand, or when are the companies that provide your electricity, right? Um, when are they using more renewable energy? And we've got a actually, oddly enough, we've got a
Yes.
really big solar array out uh, west of where I live, and then in a town a
Okay.
couple hours south, there's a massive one too. So we've got a lot of solar just here in the area feeding into the grid. I don't know where it goes, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think this is great. Um, if I ever built another house, which we know I want to live in an RV, so the same
Yes.
thing will go with the RV. I'm going to put a lot of solar on it, but I think if I built another house, I'd put solar in. Um,
Yeah.
I just don't see any reason not to
Yeah.
at this point. So I think it's good. Ties in with Apple's, you know, playing nice with Mother Nature. So
Yes. So and I'm the same. We plan on, when we upgrade the roof, or when we replace the roof and all of that, we plan on looking into solar. So, but yeah, just for the time being, I'm not too interested in where the energy is coming from. But yeah, it falls in line with the future. So the next thing I have is something that I thought that I've had the ability to do. So I looked on my wife's phone. She's still running 16, and I looked on another device, and it wasn't there. So I'm like, okay, I guess this is actually new for iOS 17, and that's being able to listen to web pages in Safari. Right now, it doesn't work on every web page, but definitely pages with a lot of information on. It works similar to an audiobook, where you can have the voice assistant read what's on the web page to you, and you tap on the uppercase and lowercase a's, and it gives you an extra menu, and you can choose, how is it worded? Um, I believe it just says like to read um, the page, and it'll read it to you, and it works really good. And just like the what is it, the reading list page, how it darkens all of the ads and the distractions on the page, and it makes it like basically like reading in an ebook or something like that, but it's a web page. Really cool. It works really good, and I like it. And it was one of those features that I didn't hear about in the keynote. It's one of the guys that we watch that we subscribe to, and he mentioned it, and I'm like, wait, I thought we always can do that, but No, it's a new feature. Really cool. I really like it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of features in here. This is a little bit of a spoiler for later, but Apple put out a PDF with all of the changes in
Hmm.
iOS and in macOS Sonoma. It's pages and pages and pages of
Yeah.
stuff, right? And one of the guys that we follow was Brandon Butch, right? That we've mentioned from a YouTube
Yes.
standpoint. His all things that changed in iOS 17 video is 2 hours and 13 minutes long.
Wow. Okay.
So it's a
I
full
did see a
feature
long one
film.
from him.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was kind of skipping around in a little bit. But anyway, we'll put a link to the PDF for the iOS 17 stuff that Apple put out.
Hmm.
Because you can go in and you can see all the little itty bitty things that they changed. And Safari reading pages is on there. It was also in Federico Vitici's iOS
Hmm.
17 review. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. So a lot of things that just don't get any stage time. You know what I mean? That'll change that you can use in your daily life. Like I can see myself using this, especially when both of my hands are full, to get through those long web pages or things that I always say, "Oh, I'll get to it later," and just never get around to reading it. So,
Yeah.
all right. So next we have some new ringtones and text tones. Have you played around with any of these?
I did. I was hoping the text tones would actually be useful, but my problem is they're hard to hear. So,
Yeah.
you know, you can go
Some of
through
them
and
were really low.
yeah. And so I'm like, I'll never hear that. I do think I changed one of the defaults on my phone. So we'll see how long that lasts or if I go back to Darth Vader as my
Hmm.
default for it. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. This is the first time in like 10 years they've added new ringtones, and all of the stuff we had
Yeah.
before is now moved to classic. So it's down in that
Yes.
classic section.
So I like some of them. You're right. I agree with you. A lot of them were really low. Some of them take time to build to a louder ringtone, so it'll already be ringing for 30 seconds or so before you can even hear it. But some of the ones I like how they played around with the vibration
Yeah,
in the
that I
song.
like.
They kind of go along with the song, and well, the tone. And I thought that was pretty cool. So good update with that.
I really wish they do allow more sounds on the watch, right? Because
Yes.
a lot of people keep their phones on silent all the time. And I think I
Hmm.
would do that if I had more flexibility on the watch, right? Like if I
Yes.
could have the same text tone for my wife play on my watch as plays
Hmm.
on my phone,
On the phone. Yes.
then I'd probably just keep my phone on silent all the time because my watch is always
Right.
on my wrist. Right.
Right.
So
Right.
I wish they do something more there. But yeah, I mean, some of them I just felt like, okay, if I really need to hear the sounds, I'm never going to hear that
Yes.
particular one. Now, maybe I'm just getting old and my hearing's going out too. But
No, I don't think it's that at all. So I agree with you though. I'm on board with that. Some things, so things that I don't want to be notified, I turn them off, right? But the problem I run into is every notification is the same.
yeah,
So if someone comes to the door, I want to be notified differently than my wife texting me or anything, a text message from my brother or something like that. I want to be notified differently than just a regular notification from an app or something like that.
yep.
So I do hear on the phone different tones and stuff now with 17, but I kind of want some of that to bleed over to the watch, and I'm sure it'll come in a year or two.
Yep.
So the next one we have on the list is iOS features coming later this year, right? So these are things that didn't drop yesterday with the general release of iOS 17. So you want to talk about some of the things that are coming that they talked about during the keynote, right? Some of the things we were excited about, but just didn't make the cut this time around.
Yeah, it's just a pretty simple list. We'll put a link to a Mac Rumors article in the show notes, but the journal app, which I've already mentioned,
Hmm.
the whole collaborative playlists where you can combine. I'm excited about this one. So I put out every year a Christmas playlist. And
Hmm.
basically, I take the previous years and I add new stuff that's come in, and my sister and my wife, and anybody that follows me on the Apple Music stuff, they love that I do that. I'll probably get asked in about a month, where's the Christmas playlist, right?
Yes.
And but what'd be nice here is for them to be able to go in and say, hey, I heard this song too, right? And I'm hoping that's how this works. Now I know part of this was for CarPlay, right? But I'm hoping it
Yes.
works on these general ones too, because I would love to throw up, hey, here's the 2023 Christmas playlist. Everybody add the new stuff that they find. Um, because I don't usually refine that playlist. I refine the songs I liked out of it the next year, right? So
Okay.
this year's playlist is just about stuff I've liked in previous years and
Hmm.
all the new stuff that everybody finds. That's what I would like it to be about. And then I'll narrow it down next year. So that Christmas playlist actually grows, not as much as you would think, because I take stuff out. Okay, I've heard that one enough and put new stuff in. And
Yeah.
but anyway, that'd be really cool. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. All I Want for Christmas Is You is on my playlist every year, and then probably about 2 weeks later, I'm over it.
yeah.
I'm over that song. I love the song, but all it takes is 2 or 3 times, for the year, and I'm already done with it till next year. So
Yeah.
I'm
And
with you.
then some of the other things, airdrop internet transfers, right? This is the ability to initiate an airdrop and then walk away and have it keep going over the internet. I'm
Yep.
excited about that. Reacting to messages with any sticker through tapback, that's
Hmm.
coming up. The messages catch up arrow so that if, one of Jason and I's threads, we can press the button and go back to and see all the messages we haven't read. That one's coming. And then Apple
Hmm.
ID proximity, which is this is the ability to, if you're signing in on a new device and you've got one of your others close, that it'll allow you to sign in much easier than you had in the past. So that's for Mac rumors. Those
Yep.
are all the things that should be coming too. So
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Some of these features we were excited about that. The AirDrop, which we use almost daily, between me and my wife and me and multiple people, we use that daily. So being able to not have to stand there while large files transfer, I was looking forward to that. So we'll see. Hopefully, it'll come pretty quick in iOS 17.1 or 2 or something like that. So Greg, you have some. You want to talk to us about iPad 17, iPad OS 17?
yeah, so two items I just wanted to make folks aware of to at least think about. On iPad OS 17, I had to re-enable the corner gestures to get quick notes back. And this is the ability to swipe up from the bottom right corner and get your quick notes, your last one
Hmm.
that you started. And I actually had to go in, I had to look for it and turn it on. And I think it has something to do with Stage Manager, because if you've got Stage Manager turned on, these gestures don't work. These quick note gestures
Hmm.
aren't supposed to work. And so, but it wasn't in the Stage Manager settings. I had to go find it in the note setting and turn it back on to re-enable that. So if you use quick notes and you went to 17 and you can't find it, go into the notes settings and turn that back on there. And then this other one was really weird. Once I upgraded to the release candidate, so we've got weird sleep schedules going on right now because we've got our youngest grandson that usually ends up in the middle between us, which means sleep
Yeah.
is really weird. And but I couldn't remember for a couple of mornings straight turning off my alarm on my watch. And I asked my wife, I said, "Did you hear my alarm go off?" And she's like, "No," but she says, "I'm only half awake because we're trying to get that extra few minutes of sleep." And so I did some tests and it wasn't working. And so I actually went back in and I reset my whole sleep schedule to get
Okay.
it back. And so it's back. Now, luckily, I did this all on Thursday because Friday morning was pre order day,
Yes.
which we're going to talk about. And I really didn't want to wake up late. So just something for you to kind of pay attention to. If you really need your alarms, maybe set a second alarm on top of your sleep schedule, or just pay attention and make sure that those are happening. So I had to do both of those things. But other than that, some of my apps have started playing nice. Like I mentioned that I couldn't use my favorite workout app on the watch because it was just stopping randomly and the audio chime ins weren't working the way they're supposed to. Well,
Yeah.
yesterday I went for a walk and I forgot that that app had been broken, and I just, naturally just turned it on and it worked fine. So,
Okay, good.
and no update to the app itself. I'm still waiting for that. But so something in the release candidate fixed that communication with Bluetooth or whatever API they were calling to do, interact with the
Hmm.
workouts and stuff like that. So, it's better. It's solid now. So I don't have any qualms recommending that if you're ready for these new features, you should be moving your phone to it. And I moved my wife's phone,
Yeah.
iPad, and the watch and everything to it last night. So
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. I was gonna update it before we went to bed, but her phone was down to like 30% or something like that. And it wants you to be what 55 or 50% or over. And so I'll do it today, this evening when I get every device back in hand.
Now, Jason, one that I skipped over here, I think you might be excited about the auto portrait mode. So that's
So
coming. Some of those features are coming to older phones, and I've specifically heard people call out the 14 Pro is getting some of the auto portrait mode features.
okay, so I was hoping, but from my understanding, it was just one of those things that I'm like, okay, only the 15 Pro is getting it. So if the 14 is getting it, then yeah, I'm excited about that. That's one of the features that I really like about the one of the standout features from the keynote. Even though like we said, um, um, some of the features it wasn't necessary for me to update to the
Right.
15. But yeah, if this one's coming, yeah, no, I'm excited about that. I like that.
You should play with it this week and see. So, I mean, this is just so everybody gets caught up. This is the ability that you don't have to specifically move to portrait mode and specify which subject is in focus and everything else is not, right? So, this is
Yeah,
the ability in your editing to be able to go in and switch between subjects and have any photo have all of the portrait data available so that you can edit to it.
yes.
So, Jason, you need to test that for us and let us know because they specifically mentioned the 14. I haven't tried it on my 12, but I kind of doubt it's going to go back that far. But
Yeah.
so test that and come back and let us know next week.
Yeah, yeah, I'll give it a shot. So, and then some of your apps just out of the blue started functioning,
Yeah, that
right?
work outdoors one was good, and
Yeah.
a couple of other things just kind of seem to resolve themselves with the release candidate. So yeah, go
Okay.
upgrade. It's
Yeah.
time. Do it. There's plenty of good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. And last week we said we'll see you on Mars, but did you see the commercial with the space and all of that? The
I did
little short that
not.
they had. It is really cool. So they're really pushing that thing. So again, if we don't see you on Mars, we'll see you on Jupiter,
All
guys.
right. Till next week.
See you next week.